Hey everyone, this video is my review of The Young Elites by Marie Lu. This book came out on October 7th of 2014 and I was sent this book for free by the publisher Penguin in return for my honest review. So this book was definitely one of my most anticipated books of this year because I read Marie Lu's Legend trilogy last year and I really loved it, so I was looking forward to her new series, and this book definitely did not disappoint. I loved it so much. It surpassed my expectations. So let me kind of give you a summary of what this book is about. So it is a YA fantasy book, and the main character's name is Adelina, and she is a survivor of the blood fever, which is an illness that happened, I want to say 10 years ago before this book takes place. Many people died from this illness, but some of the youth survived, and the ones that did survive have markings on them, and our main character, her hair was dark brown. It turned pretty much white, and because of the illness and what kind of side effects it had on her, they had to take out one of her eyes, so she only has one eye. She has a lot of scars. The society refers to the survivors of this illness as malfetos, which kind of means like abominations, because it's not a good sign for the family to have a child that is a malfeto. They're definitely looked down upon, and Adelina included. But some of the people that survived this illness kind of got these special powers, and they're referred to as the Young Elites. And they've kind of banded together. In the beginning, Adelina doesn't know if she has these powers, but we soon find out that she does, and this is kind of her journey to figure out what to do with these powers and if she should join the Young Elites. We also get other perspectives. So one perspective is from Tyrion, and he works for the government. He is the leader of the Inquisition Axis, and his job is to find these Young Elites and pretty much to kill them because they don't want them taking over. So he's kind of the enemy, but we do get chapters from his perspective, which I think are really neat. And then we also get chapters from Enzo's perspective, and Enzo is a part of the Young Elites. His job to go out and find other Young Elites and recruit them to his group called the Dagger Society. So yeah, Adelina gets mixed up with all of these characters, and it's her story on how she deals with all of this and the choices that she makes, and her kind of trying to come to terms with who she is and her powers. I gave this book a 4.5 stars out of 5. I loved it so much. I would have to say my favorite aspect of the book is our main character, Adelina. She is so different than any character that I've ever read. She's got a lot of darkness in her, and she is definitely not this pure heroine that we're used to in YA books. She kind of has this evil side or evil within her, and this whole book is very dark and very gritty, and I loved that about it. It's very different. It's a super dark YA fantasy. I just love what Marie Lu did with Adelina's character and how she's always struggling to find the goodness within herself, and it's really hard for her to do. And sometimes as a reader, we don't really know if she has any goodness within her. She has gone through some terrible things in her life that have broken her soul. She really has a horrible outlook on life and the world, and she's definitely a very interesting and intriguing character to read about. The world is really awesome. It's like a kind of historical fiction fantasy world that I loved reading about. It's really interesting. We have a lot of really cool characters. I mean, the characters in this book are really great. The plot is awesome. It captivated me. It surprised me. I didn't know what was coming around the next corner, and I loved that about this book. There's also a lot of great family elements. Adelina has really stressed relationships with her father and her sister. Her mother died a long time ago, but she has strained relations with her father and sister for multiple different reasons, and those are really explored in this story, and I appreciated that so much. I thought it was an interesting dynamic to add to the story. There's also a little bit of politics going on in the book with the government trying to get rid of these Young Elites, and then also with the society looking down on the malfetos. Like, if they find a Young Elite or someone they suspect of being a Young Elite, they burn them at the stake. So this is a very distressed and unsettled world, and it makes for a thrilling backdrop or setting to this story. and there's also a little bit of romance, but that does not take center stage, which is another thing I appreciated. The romance had its place, it had its purpose, and it did its job, and I love that so much. What I cannot stand is a book that forces a romance, or a book that feels like it needs to have a romance to be young adult. While this book does have a romance, it's not forced, and it has a purpose, and I loved that so much. I will say I had to dock half a star. I really wanted to give this book 5 stars, but I kind of had to dock half a star because the world building wasn't fantastic. I wasn't captivated by the world. Like, I didn't feel like I was there. The world was very fascinating, but I didn't feel like I was there, and I didn't feel like the world building was super strong. With this being the first book in a YA fantasy series, I'm pretty sure that's going to get better with the next books, and I'm really looking forward to those. But I felt that way in her Legend trilogy as well. With the first book, the world building wasn't super strong. I think fans of her Legend trilogy should definitely check this book out. It's very different from Legend, with this being a fantasy book and Legend being a dystopian book. Very different, but her writing style is very similar. It's got that easy flowing pace to it, very fast paced and easy to imagine, I guess. Like, her books tend to play like movies in your head, and so I think her writing style in this book is great, and it's very similar to her writing style in the Legend trilogy. Also, I would say fans of the Grisha series, or also known as the Shadow and Bone series by Leigh Bardugo, you should really check this book out. I absolutely love the Grisha series, and I think this book could be compared to that series. It's got that really dark factor and that character who's constantly fighting between good and evil within herself. So I think fans of the Grisha series should check this book out. So the way this book ended was really awesome. I love the direction that it took. I was very surprised by it, and with the way it ended, I am so excited to see how Marie Lu develops this story and this world further on in the next books, and I highly recommend this book. This book is unique and intense. It's dark and gritty, and I absolutely adored it. Thank you to Penguin for sending me this book, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any thoughts or you've already read this book, let me know in the comments, and I will see you all next time. Bye.